Hello, I'm here with Speaker Gunn, the Speaker of the Mississippi House, and we're here to talk about income tax. Now, you're one of the architects of this idea that we should make Mississippi more competitive. Too many young Mississippians having to move to Nashville, to Texas, to Florida. Right. You've come up with this idea to help make sure that we're competitive.
Yes, sir. I think it's one of the greatest things we could possibly do for our state is to allow them to keep more of their hard-earned money. We've been preaching this for over a year now that there's nothing we can do, I don't think, from a financial standpoint that better helps our citizens and better helps our competitiveness nationwide than to allow people to keep more of their hard-earned money. When you do that, they have a better ability to provide for themselves, improve their quality of life, provide for their children. Those economic dollars turn over as they spend those dollars in the community. The businesses thrive. They have more money to give to their church. The benefits just go on. And I don't see how anyone who is a conservative, who is a Republican, cannot be for that. This is something that I believe will transform our state. And I've been using that word a lot, transform the lives of Mississippians. This is something that would be huge. Under our plan, and we can talk about the details if you want to, but for example, under our plan, right out of the gate, we put $1,300 a year back into the pockets of each taxpayer who's making $40,000 or more. That's over $100 a month. That's 2 more tanks of gasoline. And today, as we sit here doing this, gasoline's pretty high. That's 2 to 3 gallons of gas a month. That's another bag of groceries. That's another utility bill. That transforms the lives of people. And you mentioned our attempt to keep our young people. You and I both know the census just took place in 2020, and we were down 6,000 people statewide. We're seeing our young people go to other states, and they're flocking. Just look at the movement around the country. The 2 states that gained the most population, Texas and Florida. One of the fastest growing cities in America, if not the fastest, is Nashville, Tennessee. What do those 3 states have in common? No income tax. The 2 states that lost the most population are 2 of the highest tax states in the country, California and Illinois. So tax policy is a huge factor in movement of population. As we try to keep our young people here, this is a factor that they consider. I'm not saying we're going to become Texas and Florida or Nashville, Tennessee if we get rid of the income tax. I recognize that. We don't have Disney World. We don't have the Dallas Cowboys. But it is a consideration. And as we eliminate that obstacle and we allow our young people who are starting their careers to keep more of their hard-earned money, they have a better ability to do all those things that we talked about in the beginning, provide for their families, put more back. The plan that we produced was taken by 2 economists at Ole Miss, and they project that if we get rid of the income tax, it will result in a $371 million increase per year in our GDP, gross domestic product. Gross domestic product is how you measure the wealth of a state or a country or a county. And if we did that, what they're telling us is that we're going to sell $371 million more worth of stuff every year. GDP is a sale of goods and services. So that in and of itself goes back to what I said a second ago, that as they spend those dollars, the economic prosperity in the community begins to churn. And as Mississippians prosper, so do businesses. They prosper.
It's a clear choice. You stand to allow Mississippians to keep more of their own money.
Correct.
Against you, there are those who say that actually they as politicians should be spending that money. Now, one of the things they argue is that we can't afford it. They say that if we do this, we'll be like Kansas. But we just saw some numbers in last week showing that actually the Mississippi budget surplus is even bigger than was projected. We're nearly $1 billion in surplus.
That is correct. And this is one of the things that, and our plan is not Kansas. We have been clear about that. That is a red herring. There's no way that this plan is like Kansas. And all this talk about we got to protect the budget, we got to make sure we do the functions of government, that's just code for we want to spend it. We want to spend it. And I've argued that we have this year, because of the revenues that you mentioned, We have level funded our budget year over year. The budget is funded. We have filled the rainy day fund. We have fixed the retirement system. We have performed every function of government, and we still have over $1 billion left over. It's my argument that it's time to give that money back to the taxpayers. They're the ones, and people forget that. Every dime we have, we take from the taxpayers. So it's time to give some of that money back to them. That has been my position.
Now, we can afford it as a state. When the Senate came up with their plan, it superficially, when I first read it, I thought, great, this is a slightly different version.
Right.
But then I looked at the numbers, and your office went through some of the numbers with me, and actually, it's not really a tax elimination plan.
No, it's not. It's not. I call it a token tax plan, just to check a box to say that we did tax.
It's a fairy tale.
And I think it's telling that they don't want to talk numbers. They just talk in language or code, as I call it. For example, we're going to get rid of they're under their plan, they say we're going to get rid of the 4% tax bracket. People hear that and they think, oh, that's a significant tax break. Well, in Mississippi, our tax structure right now is that you pay a 4% tax on what you make between $5,000 and $10,000. That amount is $200. Take your calculator out and do it. Take 5,000 and multiply it by 4%, and it comes out to $200.
And they're doing that over 4 years,
and they're spreading that over 4 years. So in the very first year under their plan, you get $50 back, about $4 a month. If I understand advertising right, the Subway sandwiches advertise $5 footlongs, right? You can't even buy a $5 footlong with that. Under our plan, in the first year, you get, if you're making $40,000 or more, you get $1,300 back. Again, that goes back to what I said a minute ago. That's over $100 a month. So under our plan, you get over $100 a month back. Under their plan, you get $4 in the first year. And then the second year, they add another $4, and the third year, another $4. They eventually get up to $200 a year. Under ours, it's $1,300 a year. They talk about eliminating the state portion of the car tag. People hear that and they think, well, that's great. Car tags are going away. No, the state portion of your car tag, when you buy the new car and you get the metal plate, is $5. When you renew your tag each year, the little sticker that you get is $3.75. Under our plan, we cut the car tags in half.
But they're using words that make it sound as if they're giving you something.
I think that's not being completely forthright with the people. You're not, and I've challenged them. Let's just use the numbers. Show the numbers, and that tells the story.
But fundamentally it boils down to trust. Do politicians trust ordinary people to spend their money better than they do, or do you want politicians who think they're better at spending your money for you?
That's exactly right. We have $1 billion extra here. Like I said, we funded all of government. We've got money in the bank. We filled the rainy day fund, and we still have $1 billion left over. Now, who's going to spend that $1 billion? It's my position, our position in the House. We need to take that opportunity to give this back to the taxpayers. To not do that means that those who don't want to do that, want to keep it and spend it.
We've got this roadblock to reform in the Senate. We've got the Jackson political establishment trying to stop this. What can people do to try to unblock this roadblock?
Well, right now, we need the votes in the Senate. I mean, we need our senators to embrace this concept, embrace this idea, and agree with us that this is the right thing to do. We have statements by the governor that he supports the elimination of the income tax. So he has indicated that he's ready to engage to eliminate the tax. We've presented two plans, really. We presented the original plan a year ago, and then we presented a revised plan this year, which is even better, we think. So the only thing, and let me say this, I want to thank your organization for weighing in on the issue. As I sit here, I think about all the different organizations that have weighed in, but the Mississippi Center for Public Policy has been carrying the football on this.
Right.
You understand football? You're from Britain, I know. You understand,
I'm learning fast.
We call football, American football.
It's much more fun to watch than soccer, I should say.
I agree. But your organization has been really out front carrying the water on this, or carrying football, I should say. And we really appreciate that. You've been a very vocal supporter of this. You understand it. You have advocated for that. You've put out videos. You have put out graphics that explain all of this. That's the kind of engagement that we need. And I will say this.
Because the case is so overwhelming.
I would agree. The case is just so obvious. But it's not just your organization. And I tell people this all the time. If you don't want to get in this spat between the House and the Senate, who's telling the truth and who do you trust, just look at the outside organizations who are not involved in the legislative process, who have weighed in on this issue. Your organization being one of them, Center for Public Policy, Empower Mississippi, the National Federation of Independent Business, which is our small business organization.
They know it will be good for small business.
Americans for Tax Reform, the Tax Foundation, National Taxpayers Union, the Bigger Pie Forum, the Automobile Dealers of Mississippi. The list goes on and on. The radio talk show hosts here in Mississippi have all weighed in. Everybody who's weighed in has come down on the side of elimination. And they've come down on the side in favor of the House plan.
Because this is the most exciting proposal to improve Mississippi's economy.
I would argue that is the case. I would argue that is the case. Now, on the flip side, who has spoken in opposition to this? Who has weighed in on the Senate plan? And I struggle to find anybody who has.
Yeah. Well, I wish you the best of luck. We're 100% behind you.
Thank you.
And I think Mississippi really needs this plan to succeed. So thank you for all your...
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to walk through it a little bit.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.